So I made the point that our government isn't just committing genocide abroad, but it is also committing genocide right here in the United States of America. And a lot of people have been asking ever since I made that statement, what could I possibly mean by that? And oh, just let me count the many different things I mean by that. Let's just start with the first one against the indigenous people of Turtle Island. Historically, our government has waged countless genocidal and ethnic cleansing campaigns against the indigenous people of this continent, the violence of which is way, way worse than we were ever taught in schools. But here's the thing, it's not just confined to history. The genocide is still alive and well today because, fortunately, there are still indigenous peoples who are alive and well today. However, the way that our government interacts with them is still genocidally violent. First off, our government has continually had a practice of finding indigenous cultural sites and disregarding them, destroying them, and doing anything they can to erase the indigenous identity of the lands that we are living on. Not only that, the indigenous communities that are still alive today are facing economic warfare left and right. They are facing literally some of the most agonizing poverty that you could ever possibly imagine, that is leading to incredible rates of drug use and fucking violence. Like anything that you could imagine is happening in these communities because of the way that our government interacts with them, because of the things that are enforced there upon them. And that's not even including the much more direct but the much more shadowy genocide of continually disappearing indigenous women, indigenous children into God knows where. But I think now, with the Epstein files coming out, we have some better idea what is probably happening there. Then there is the entire history of black Americans in this country. Chattel slavery certainly meets the definition of genocide, but then there's everything that has been done to the black community ever since then. Sundown towns, mass lynchings, the targeted bombings, attacks of black communities, the prison industrial complex, the CIA introducing crack cocaine into black communities specifically to try and kill as many of them as possible. I think there is a pretty strong case to be made that there was a genocidal effort against the queer community writ large with the AIDS epidemic and the response to it. But there is absolutely a genocide being ramped up against trans people in this country when you look at all of the anti-trans laws that are going into effect across the nation. And on the subject of ramping up genocide, what the fuck do you think ICE is doing? What the fuck do you think they are building concentration camps for? We have to start seeing things a couple steps ahead of time and understand that history is going to see everything that is happening right now as a part of the genocide that this fascist regime is attempting to carry out. Because we need to remember, every single fascist regime in all of history has used genocide as a tactic. It is built on genocide. That is the system of fascism, is selecting out groups, blaming all of the country's problems on them, and then eradicating them as opposed to actually fixing anything. Because we have to understand that these ICE raids are in conjunction with all of the other genocides that I just listed to you. It is not a coincidence that the people who keep getting swept up in these ICE raids, who are not undocumented, who are American citizens or legal residents of the United States, the people who keep getting swept up who are those groups also happen to be indigenous, black, queer, trans. These people are absolutely being targeted by these genocidal efforts. This country is built on genocide and it propagates itself through genocide. We are seeing genocide every single day on the news. You just are not attributing what you are seeing to those larger genocidal efforts. And you not thinking of these tactics as genocide is the point. It is part of their propaganda campaign to get you to separate these tactics from the larger effort to eradicate anyone who is not of this ethnic group. The bright side is, though, that the people who are perpetuating these genocides are dumb as fuck, and it is not hard to be smarter than them. It is not hard to understand what is happening, but you do have to be intentional about it. You actually have to look at what is going on and choose to interpret it for yourself. Because I'm sure while this is probably not the last time I'll have to make a video like this, because it also specifically is not the first time I've had to make a video like this, you are going to sooner or later have to be able to put these pieces together on your own. That is the only way that we are going to build up a movement who can actually respond to the bullshit that we are facing on a daily basis.